You don't need a perfect plan, a ton of money, or years of experience to build a real business. You need the right moves and the willingness to take them. That's what this show is about, helping you build a business that gives you real financial freedom and control over your time. Let's get into it.
There she is, a brand new, fully loaded Range Rover. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I see our usual suspects here. My mom is here. Annette, say hi to everybody. Lindsay Reese is here, of course. And we've got McKay. I'm sure Kayla's here. Amelia's here. Hi, Amelia. These are all people in my mentor group. And today we have a really good topic for you because I was speaking to somebody this morning that is considering starting a cleaning business, but he had this big fear, and it was finding good cleaners and having to rely on them and things of that nature. And I think that's a very fair thing to worry about. But I want to talk about it today, and I want to tell you why it's actually, in my opinion, a very good thing. Let me get into it, and I'll tell you why. The show right here says, right there, it's brought to you by Jobber. And they are a sponsor, and I'm grateful of that because I love the tool. It's a phenomenal tool to run your business. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jon Margalit. I'm the owner of Happy Home Helpers, a 7-figure remote cleaning business in Las Vegas, and the founder of Rags to Riches University, where I teach aspiring entrepreneurs and cleaning business owners how to grow a remote cleaning business. I'm going to get right into it today, and I'll come back to that. I wanted to dive right in because there's a lot here to unpack. And if you're sitting at home right now, dreaming about starting a cleaning business, telling yourself you would do it if only you could find reliable cleaners, then I need you to hear me say this clearly and with complete respect. That is not your real problem. And deep down, you already know it. I realized this morning because the gentleman that I was speaking to, it was holding him back. And it made me write today's show notes and the topic. And I want to get into something today that I think nobody else in this space is willing to say out loud. I talk to people like him every single week who are on the edge. They've done the research. They know the cleaning industry is a multi-billion-dollar market. They've watched a lot of videos. They've seen the numbers. They've seen my numbers. They've looked at businesses like Happy Home Helpers and thought, I could do that. And then they find a reason not to start. And lately, the reason I keep hearing over and over, almost word for word, is, John, I want to do this, but I'm worried I won't be able to find reliable cleaners. What if they don't show up? What if I book a client and my cleaner ghosts me the morning of the job and then I get a bad review? What if I just can't find enough people in general? I hear you on that. I really do. And I want to honor that concern because it's not stupid. It's not irrational. No-shows are real. Flaky employees are real. Staffing headaches are real. I have lived every one of those scenarios running Happy Home Helpers. But here's what I've learned from being on the other side of hundreds of conversations with people who want to build something. The fear you're describing, it's almost never actually about cleaners. It's about starting. You want to build a business. You want freedom. You want income that isn't tied to someone else's decision about whether to keep you or not. You feel the pull. But starting something from nothing is terrifying. And your brain, being the brilliant survival machine that it is, needs somewhere specific to put that terror. It can't just sit with, I'm scared of the unknown. That's too vague to hold. So it finds something concrete, something real, something that sounds like a legitimate, logical reason to wait just a little longer. And what if I can't find good cleaners is a perfect vessel for that fear. It sounds responsible. It sounds like due diligence. It sounds like you're really thinking ahead instead of being reckless. But what it really is a reason that feels safe enough to say out loud without admitting what's underneath it. Today, we're going to go beneath. We're going to go beneath it. Let me tell you something. Do you think restaurant owners never worry about whether their line cooks will show up on a Saturday night? Do you think construction companies don't lose sleep over subcontractors who disappear mid-project? Do you think retail stores don't deal with employees who call out the night before a holiday rush? Staffing uncertainty is not a cleaning industry problem. It's a business problem. It's a human element of running any operation that depends on other people, which is every operation worth running. Unless you want to be a person that does hair and that's, you do it all yourself, or you want to be you want to be this type of service provider and you're just the only one doing it and you don't have to rely on anyone else. The problem with that is that it doesn't scale. So when someone tells me that they're hesitant to start a cleaning business specifically because of this fear, I have to gently point out, if this fear is stopping you, it would be your stopping point in any business you tried, because that's what you need to do to build a business. This problem is baked into entrepreneurship itself. And yet, look around. There are cleaning businesses everywhere. There are thousands of them operating profitably right now, today, in your city. They figured it out, not only because they found, not because they found magic. It's not because they found perfect employees who never missed a shift. It's because they built systems that made the business work in spite of imperfect humans, including themselves. The proof of concept already exists. The question is whether you'll decide to be part of it. I want you to do something. Just pull up Google right now, if you're listening to this or watching, and search cleaning companies near me. Put that in the Google search bar. What do you see? Dozens of businesses. Many of them have hundreds of reviews. Some of them have been operating for 5, 10, or even 15 years. None of those businesses found perfect cleaners. None of them avoided the no-show. None of them built their operation without dealing with the exact fear you're carrying right now. But they started anyways. And here's the part nobody talks about. Most of them figured out that staffing, the piece of staffing, relatively quickly. Most of them figured out that the staffing was an Achilles heel, not because it got easier, but because they built habits and processes and a reputation that made good people want to work for them. In business, when you have a problem with something, you don't just let it happen to you. You figure out why it's happening, and then you solve it. That's a main function of an entrepreneur. Staffing is no different than any other problem that you would need to fix. So they figured this out quickly. Happy Home Helpers didn't scale past $1 million in year 2 because I got lucky with incredible cleaners who never gave me problems. We scaled because we built a system around finding real human beings with all their flaws and unpredictability and made the business work anyways. The evidence of this fear is survivable everywhere. You just have to be willing to see it. It is very survivable. And it's, you can type it into Google and see for yourself. Here's a truth that might reframe everything for you. The cleaning labor pool is not full of people trying to scam you or blow off your clients. The vast majority of people applying for cleaning positions want exactly what you want. They want to make money, they want to do a good job, and they want to have consistent work that they can count on. Think about it from their perspective. A good cleaner who's reliable, thorough, and professional, they want as many jobs as you can give them. They want steady income. They want to be part of something that pays them on time, treats them with respect, and gives them clear expectations. That person exists in enormous numbers. Yes, you'll encounter some who are not that. Yes, you will have a no-show. You will have someone who turns out to be a bad fit. That is not the exception to the rule of business. That is the rule. Every single employer on earth deals with this. What separates the ones who grow from the ones who quit is not finding only perfect people. It's building a process that vets out the worst, supports the best, and creates a backup plan for the inevitable gap. Which brings me to what actually we do at Happy Home Helpers when it comes to managing this problem. First of all, the vetting process has real standards. Not everyone gets hired. We screen, we interview, we check references. The application process itself filters out people who aren't serious. Second, we have clear written directions for every job. No cleaner should ever show up to a job unsure of what's expected. Clarity up front eliminates most of the performance issues before they happen. Third, we have a morning of check-in. On the day of the job, the virtual assistants reach out on Slack and confirm or call them. A simple touch point that catches problems early, so that way they're early enough to solve them if they need to be solved. Fourth, we have a backup roster. Always. This is a non-negotiable. You don't run a cleaning operation without having people you can call when something falls through. Building that roster is one of the first things that we teach in the Rags to Riches program. Consistent work as a retention tool. When cleaners know that you have steady jobs for them, they show up. Reliability is a two-way street. When you provide consistent opportunity, you attract consistent people. The system exists. It works. It's teachable. It's scalable. And this is not a mystery. The real question isn't, can I find good cleaners? It's, am I someone good enough that cleaners will show up for? Or I should rephrase that and say, am I someone good cleaners will show up for? This is the one that most people aren't ready to hear, of course. This is the one that most people don't want to hear, because then they have to look in the mirror and ask themselves if they're worthy of leading other people. But this is the most important thing I'm going to say today. Think about every job you've ever had. Think about the managers or leaders you worked for. Think about the ones that you gave extra effort to. The ones who showed up early, stayed late, went above and beyond. Now think about the ones where you did the bare minimum and quietly started looking for something else. What was the difference? It wasn't the pay. It wasn't always even the work. It was the leader. People perform at a higher level for leaders they believe in. Cleaners are not different from any other human being on earth. They want to be led by somebody who is organized, who communicates clearly, who pays on time, and treats them with dignity, and somebody who just has their act together. If you're disorganized, if you're unclear, if you're inconsistent, or constantly in chaos, you will attract disorganized, inconsistent people. It mirrors. It always mirrors. But if you step up, if you build a professional operation, if you communicate like somebody who respects other people's time, you create structure and clarity in how you run your business, you will attract people that reflect that energy back to you. So the question isn't whether good cleaners exist. They do. The question is whether you are building something worth showing up for. And that is entirely within your control. You're going to like this one next. The business will make you a leader if you let it. And this is something every person is sitting on the fence to hear deeply. Even if you start this business and the staffing is hard at first, even if you have a terrible no-show in your first month, even if you have to hustle to find your second cleaner, and even if it feels messy and imperfect, something is happening inside of you during all that. That's the whole point. You are learning how to lead people. That is not a consolation prize. That is the whole game. Most people go their entire lives never developing the skills required to attract, manage, and retain other human beings toward a shared goal. Most people never have to. They stay in a role where someone else handles that, and they collect a paycheck and go home. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you start a cleaning business and you have to figure it out, and you have to find your first cleaner, you have to figure out how to communicate expectations, how to handle a no-show professionally, how to build a team that shows up because they want to, you are undergoing a transformation that most people never get to experience. And eventually, even if you stumbled through every piece of it, even if you took 6 months to figure it out, to get the staff dialed in, you would emerge from that process a different person. Much different than when you first started. You will be a more capable person. You will be way more confident. You will be somebody who knows how to build something with other human beings. That person can do far more than run a cleaning business. That person can do almost anything. That's why I talk about it at the beginning of the show, the transformation. So don't let the fear of imperfection in the staffing process stop you from becoming who you need to become. The process of working through that fear is the whole point. Let's go to the quote of the day. Hi, Kayla. Let's go to the quote of the day. Here it is. John A. Shedd. No idea who he is. Just came up in my research. John says, a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. Think about what a ship actually is. It's an extraordinary piece of engineering. It's built to navigate open water. It's designed to handle weather, waves, and resistance. Every system on a ship, I think it's called the keel, the rigging of the engine. I'm not a ship expert, but I'm thinking about the systems on a ship. They exist for one purpose, to move through uncertain conditions and arrive somewhere. And yet, a ship that never leaves harbor never encounters a storm. It never deals with a difficult crew member. Never has an engine that cuts out in the open water and has to be fixed on the fly. The harbor is comfortable. The harbor is controlled. Nothing bad can happen in the harbor, but the ship is just rotting. Because a ship that never sails is not fulfilling its design. It's not doing what it was built to do. And slowly, quietly, without any drama, it deteriorates. Not from the sea, from just stillness. That is exactly what happens to the person who stays in the harbor of, I'll start when I find the right cleaners. You're not protecting yourself from failure. You're just slowly letting your potential decay at the dock. The fear of unreliable cleaners is the harbor. It feels like safety. It sounds like wisdom, but what it actually is stillness dressed up as strategy. Ships are built for the open water, for the unpredictable, for the challenge of navigating real conditions with imperfect tools and real human crew members who will sometimes disappoint you. The ship that ventures out gets bettered and battered every time. But it also becomes the ship with the seasoned captain, the one who knows how to read the weather, the one whose crew has been through enough together that they start trusting each other. You were built for the open water too. The staffing uncertainty you're afraid of, that is just the open water. It is not a reason to stay docked. It is exactly the kind of condition your business and your leadership was designed to navigate. You have to leave the harbor. Your fear is not a sign to stop. It's a compass. Every legitimate fear you have about starting a cleaning business is pointing you directly at the skill that you need to develop. Fear of finding cleaners is pointing you at leadership and systems. Fear of losing clients is pointing you at communication and quality control. And fear of failure overall is pointing you at the resilience you haven't yet built, but will. The fear is not telling you not to go. It's telling you exactly where to go. So just follow it. I want to close by talking directly to the person who came into this video already knowing somewhere inside that the cleaners thing wasn't the real issue. You know who you are. Before I get to my last thought, I have to mention that if you are feeling stuck and you want my help, shoot me an email. Can you put up my email, Tosh? And I'll give you my free jobber link at the end. But shoot me an email. If you want me to help you start, or you've started and you feel stuck and you need help with growth, shoot me an email, john@jonmargalit.com. If you could keep that up, that would be great. You've been circling this for a while, maybe months, maybe longer than that. You've consumed the content. You've run the numbers in your head. You've imagined what your life would look like if you actually pulled the trigger and built something. And every time you get close to the edge, every time it feels real enough to actually do, something comes up, a reason, a concern. But what about? But what about this? What about that? I'm not here to judge that. I've been afraid too. Every person who has ever built anything real has stood in that exact same place that you are standing in right now. But I want to tell you something that I tell everybody I work with who is on the edge. The version of you that is running a successful cleaning business 1 year from now did not get there by waiting until they were ready. They got there because they decided that being unready was not a good enough reason to stay still. They got there because they understood the gap between who they are now and who they need to become can only be closed by moving, not by planning, not by researching, not by watching one more video. The staffing will work itself out. I promise you that. Not because it's easy, but because there's a system for it, and you will learn that system. You will hire your first cleaner. You will probably have a rough moment somewhere in your first 90 days, but you will handle it. You will be better for that. And then you will hire a second cleaner, and then your third, and eventually you will be the person on a live stream telling someone that their fear of finding cleaners is not the real issue. But none of that will happen from where you're sitting right now. It only happens when you decide. The cleaning industry is not waiting for you to feel confident. Your future clients are not waiting for you to feel ready. The cleaners who will eventually build your team with you, they don't even know that you exist, but they're out there. And they are looking for exactly the kind of leader that you are capable of becoming. The only thing standing between you and all of it is the decision to stop standing outside the cave. You definitely don't have a cleaner's problem. You have a courage problem. And the great news is that courage is something that you find. It's not something that you build. One decision at a time. Start with this one. Move forward, and let's get to work. If you want to try Jobber, we could put up that link, please. My team will give you a free training, and Jobber will give you a free trial. Jobber is what we use to run the business. You can go to join.getjobber.com/Jon Margalit. Please don't be shy. Send me an email. If you have a question, send me a DM on social media. All you have to do is join. Go to join.getjobber.com/Jon Margalit. Start your free trial. Send me an email. Taj, if you could put my email up, and tell me that you're ready for your free training. My team will give you a free training. We'll show you how we use Jobber for a cleaning business specifically, how to set it up, how to use it. Once you learn from them, it's very easy. I hope today moved some of you. And if you're watching this on replay, I hope that you make the decision to go for it. Life is not worth living with regret. If you're going to choose a business, pick something simple. It doesn't have to be cleaning. Cleaning is a vehicle. The only reason why I picked it is because it was the simplest one. I had tried others. There's no reason to make it more complicated. I hope this helped. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much.
If this helped you think differently, you're in the right place. Subscribe, stick with me, and let's keep building one episode at a time.